Okay, now let's talk about using some of this stuff on people, on portraits for retouching, that kind of thing. I'm going to make a new layer because most of our painting tools can be used on a layer aside from the layer you're on, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to come in here and use the pen tool because I'm going to demonstrate how to use some of the painting tools when you don't have a tablet. So come in here and I'm on a separate layer. I have gone into the Paintbrush tool. I have a paintbrush that's only 1 pixel wide because I want it to be pretty small. In this case, if you've got more resolution, you can do a little bit higher. I'm going to the Paths panel over here and stroke path and simulate pressure so it fades in and out. And you can see how I can add an eyelash there. I'm going to go to the Move tool here and come in and add a few more lashes. And don't worry about this. They're all coming in on separate layers, or should be. There they are. Okay. I'm going to merge those 3 layers together and then go over to the Transform tool, zoom in, use the Warp tool, and kind of bring those down here. And you can see how you can kind of play with the shape there. The other thing you can do is use the eraser tool. You can see we're in very, very close. I'm going to put those all on the same layer so I don't have to search which layer I'm on. Using a tiny little eraser tool, and I'm just tapering off the ends of those eyelashes a little bit more than even the Paths panel did it with Simulate Pressure. And you can see how you can come in here and get the eyelashes a little bit more defined. And as we were in, it looked horrible, but as we come out, it looks much, much, much more natural. Okay? Another trick that I use sometimes when I'm doing this, and this is a little bit easier if you have a tablet, especially too, but you can do this with a mouse if you're careful, or a trackpad, is come in here with the Burn tool at very high setting, like 90%, but again, very, very teeny tiny because eyelashes are very small, and come in and just, whoops, come in and burn in eyelashes. A little bit smaller than that. And you can see in that way we can get some eyelashes in here that look a little bit fuller than what we already have. And you wouldn't necessarily need to do this with a child, but a lot of times with an adult, they want to have a little bit more of an adult woman wants to have a little bit more of a glamorous look here. Okay, so there's one thing you can do. I'm going to make another new layer, and this time I'm going to use the mixer brush. And the mixer brush can be a really cool brush for making skin look really, really soft and dreamy. So I'm going to make sure I have sample all layers on. I want to be at a low wetness level, 10%, because I don't want it to be really dramatic what it's doing. Okay, and I want to make sure that I have the clean brush and that it cleans itself every time. This is to load the brush, to unload the brush. This is keep the brush clean every time that you paint. So when I come in here and see what it's doing to, you can really see it down here, how it really, really blends the skin together, gets rid of any texture. And that may be too much, but this is what we're going for here is a painted look. We're not necessarily going for a photographic look. The other thing about this is I'm on a separate layer. So when I get done with this, let me come in here and keep going just a bit longer and I'll show you. And the other thing about this is if you've got a cranky old computer like mine, it may take a few minutes for the painting to catch up with you, the RAM. So let me make sure on that end, undo, back, come back. It's still catching up because I haven't got my cursor back. There we are. Okay, brush, mixer brush, there we go. Okay, Photoshop, preferences, if you are having trouble, if you have any external hard drives or if your hard drives are partitioned, then come in here and check some of those, and you can use those as extra RAM. That will help you with your redrawing capabilities, with your RAM keeping up with how you're painting. So, and it definitely makes things go a little bit better and smoother. So you can see in here as I go through, and I can up this a little bit to make it go even faster. See, when I went to 20%, just by hitting the 2 on my keyboard, how much more it affects the skin. Smoothing it right out there. Okay, and let's look at the neck here. And remember, where you start, you're dragging that color to the next point, so you're going to have to kind of plan where you want the paint to go. You don't want to drag all this darkness over here, for instance, so start in the middle and paint out in a case like this, or paint towards the shadow so that you don't get too much going in here. It's a judgment call. Everything is different, but you can see how it's just getting rid of all the texture and making it look very, very painted. And there are actually people that pay me to do this, to make a photograph into a painting. So this is a viable option as a subcontractor, or as a contractor for other people. Okay, cool. And remember that you can lock the transparent pixels if you want to make sure you stay within the lines. All right. Okay, so let's look at, as we zoom in here, and I'm zoomed in so far, there we go. That's without it, that's with it. And see the difference in the skin and what's going on? If it's too much, it's on a separate layer. So come in here and drop the opacity. And you can bring it down so it's halfway. So it's barely noticeable, but just really gives it that creamy, smooth look. Still leaves a little bit of the textured feeling in there. Okay? So I'm going to make another new layer, because let's look at the hair now and painting hair.